Can you imagine a world where one of the most documented events in history is denied by a significant number of people? We're talking about the Holocaust, a grim period between 1941 and 1945 that saw 6 million Jews meet a tragic end. Despite the wealth of historical evidence, a shocking 2014 survey showed that only 30% of respondents across 100 countries believed in the accuracy of the Holocaust accounts. But how did we get here in a place where the undeniable past is questioned? The roots of Holocaust denial can be traced back to the immediate aftermath of World War II. As the dust of the war settled, and the world began to comprehend the magnitude of the horrors that had unfolded, a sinister undercurrent was taking form. This was the birth of Holocaust denial, a disturbing perspective that sought to erase or distort the reality of the atrocities committed. In the early days, the deniers were often former Nazis and their sympathizers, attempting to escape accountability by downplaying the extent and systematic nature of the Holocaust. They propagated misinformation, presenting it as alternative historical research. This was in fact the first instance of the manipulation of historical facts to fit a prejudiced narrative. With the rise of the Cold War, the focus of the world shifted, providing a fertile ground for these deniers to sow their seeds of doubt. Unsettlingly, these seeds found purchase in societies across the globe. They were watered by the rising tide of anti-Semitic beliefs, which had persisted even after the exposure of the Nazi regime's monstrous acts. As the decades rolled on, these deniers adapted to the changing times. They began to exploit the immense potential of the internet, spreading their distorted narratives far and wide. Conspiracy theories began to multiply, each one more outrageous than the last. They questioned the death toll, the use of gas chambers, and even the existence of the Holocaust itself. But these conspiracy theories were not harmless speculations. They were, and continue to be, a form of psychological warfare, aimed at undermining the historical truth and perpetuating harmful stereotypes. They served to erase the memories of the victims, dishonoring their suffering, and distorting the lessons to be learned from this dark chapter of human history. And over the years, these deniers have only grown bolder, challenging even the most concrete facts. It is a grim testament to the power of misinformation and the lengths some will go to distort the truth. But as we delve deeper into the faces of denial, we will see that these distortions are not only unfounded, but also carry severe consequences for society. Denial, like many other forms of misinformation, comes in various shades. At one end of the spectrum we find the hardcore deniers. These individuals outrightly reject the Holocaust as a monumental fabrication, a myth conjured by some global conspiracy. Their motives often stem from deep-seated anti-Semitic beliefs, and their denial becomes a tool to perpetuate their hateful ideologies. Then there are those who sit somewhere in the middle, the less fervent deniers. These individuals don't deny the Holocaust in its entirety, but rather they challenge specific details. They engage in what's known as historical revisionism, questioning the official death toll, the use of gas chambers, or the systematic nature of the atrocities committed. But let's be clear, this is not constructive historical inquiry. It's an attempt to downplay the scale and the horror of the Holocaust, often with the same anti-Semitic undertones. And finally, we have the skeptics, the ones who cast doubt, not out of conviction, but out of ignorance or susceptibility to misinformation. They're victims of a world where facts are malleable, where historical truths are lost in the noise of the digital age. Regardless of their form, these deniers pose a serious threat to historical truth and memory. They challenge not just the facts, but the lived experiences of survivors, the testimonies of bystanders, and the heaps of documented evidence left behind by the Nazi regime itself. And this, my friends, is a battle we cannot afford to lose. The implications of Holocaust denial are far-reaching and deeply harmful. Let's dive into the ripple effects. First and foremost, denial fuels anti-Semitism. By refusing to acknowledge the genocide of 6 million Jews, deniers contribute to a climate where hate and prejudice against the Jewish community thrive. Further, the distortion of historical truth is a grave consequence. Denial chips away at the foundation of our understanding of history, creating a dangerous precedent where facts are subjected to personal beliefs. But perhaps the most poignant impact is the denial of the memory of the victims. In dismissing the Holocaust, we dismiss the suffering of millions and the lessons they left behind. We rob ourselves of the opportunity to learn from our past, to understand the depths of human cruelty and the importance of preventing its recurrence. In denying the Holocaust, we deny the memory of the victims and the lessons of our past. Confronting Holocaust denial is not just about preserving historical truth, it's about upholding our moral responsibility. The Holocaust, a chilling testament to the depths of human cruelty, demands our unwavering commitment to truth and remembrance. As we step into the shadows of this harrowing past, we're not just seeking knowledge, we're seeking a path to a future free from such atrocities. Knowledge is the first step. We must strive to understand the Holocaust in its horrifying entirety, from the rise of Hitler's regime to the liberation of the concentration camps. We must delve into the personal testimonies of survivors, the chilling accounts of bystanders, and the extensive Nazi documentation that leaves no room for doubt. This is not a journey for the faint-hearted, but it's one we must all embark on, for ignorance is the breeding ground for denial. When we encounter Holocaust denial, we must challenge it. We must stand firm against the tide of misinformation and distortion, armed with the irrefutable truth. The Holocaust is not a matter of opinion, but a historical fact, as solid and unyielding as any other. Challenging denial is not just about correcting a mistaken belief, it's about protecting the memory of the 6 million lives lost and ensuring their sacrifice is not in vain. We must also share the truth with others. Every conversation is an opportunity to educate, each shared fact a weapon against denial. We must tell the stories of the Holocaust, not just in whispered hushed tones of reverence, but in loud, clear voices that echo through the generations. We must ensure that the memory of the Holocaust is not just preserved but passed on, a torch in the darkness that guides us towards a more compassionate, tolerant future. Remember, the Holocaust is not just a historical fact, it's a warning from history. So let us all commit to truth, remember the past, and strive for a future rooted in empathy and understanding. The shadows of denial may be long, but the light of truth is stronger. Let's stand together in that light, united in our quest for knowledge, justice, and a world free from hate.